I took the guts out. So you can take that fan housing out of there like that. You can even replace these too, by the way. Did you know that? Sometimes you can take the housing out and you can undo this, and then you can get a new motor or whatever and pop it back in there. Well, usually, lots of times you can see screws in here that are screwed up against the 2x4 where they frame this out. Well, I can't find any screws, and it's got to be mounted a different way. There must be a top flange that gets screwed down to a 2x4 or something like that. I even started trying to take this off thinking there was a screw up underneath here, but nothing doing. There's nothing up there. And I was gonna think that maybe I could take this out, you know, spread this out, spread it out over here, take this piece, push it over, because I just need to fish up there. But you know what? You know what? Are you thinking what I'm thinking now? Okay, you remember the tub is on above the 9-foot ceiling, and then the drain is down between that and this ceiling, which is this is probably a foot tall. Okay, with TJI floor joists going across here and all that kind of stuff. This is the bathroom that's right next door to it, and the tub location is right there. That's about where the drain is. Boom. And remember, I was talking about just using that for an inspection hole and looking up there. But now, and then I was thinking, okay, if I have to do something, chances are I'm going to have to cut a hole in the ceiling here and patch the ceiling. But you know what? You know what? Look at this. The garage is right up against the back side of this wall. Okay? Here's the garage. And my thinking is maybe I can cut a hole up here, up high on the wall, not the ceiling, the wall. And there might be enough room that I can crawl through there and crawl above this ceiling on over to the tub, shine the flashlight, do all that kind of stuff. It's going to be tight. And I don't know if I can do it or not. I just don't know if I can. But I'm thinking maybe I should make the attempt, and then at least I can look over there before making the final determination that I've got to chop this ceiling out. Because if I can shimmy up there and everything from here, I could get all the way over there and see what's going on and all that kind of stuff. Now this garage has spray texture on it. Look at this. Does have spray texture on it, but I haven't painted this garage yet. I'm going to end up painting it, and there's probably 5/8 sheetrock on the wall for a 1 hour separation between the garage and the condo. This is a fire rated, 20-minute rated fire door and fire door jamb. You can see it right on here. See, it says 20-minute. And up here on the door jamb, you see there, 20-minute rated, listed fire door frame. And you know, once I take that out, I can patch and do whatever I want out here in the garage, right? And the patch doesn't have to be perfect when I get all done. What do you think about that? Now see, if I make this patch, I'm going to have to think about this a little bit. If I make that cut, I might still have to cut a hole in this ceiling. So now I've got two patches to do, don't I? I've got that one to do and this one. But maybe I can get by with just doing this one and not having to do this one at all. And even if I do have to decide to patch in here, I could do this pretty easy when I'm doing the other patch, can't I? And I can cut in between the joists, in between the 2x4s and all that kind of stuff, and maybe I can get through a 16-inch wide 2x4 and get up there on my belly and all that kind of good stuff, and or at least I can shine the treble light all the way through and see what's going on, possibly. You know, lots of things that I could do if I just do a patch in the garage. So I'm thinking about doing that. I'm going to look at this a little bit more, because if I can get this out, I used to be able to get these out. And that's because lots of times when you install something like this, you put it up there and then you put surface mounted screws, you know, on the inside of there, and just screw it in. And then you could unscrew it later and finagle it. And granted, there's the vent pipe is on there. Usually it's on a flexible line, so you can kind of get it out of there. And then there's the electrical wires are up in there too. Make sure those are off. You can turn your light switch off, or your switch off to your fan. Make sure the power is off if I was gonna try to finagle that out of there. But I'm gonna look at that a little bit more closely, because if I can do something there without doing any patches, at least I can look up there and make a determination that yes, in fact, that is the tub that's leaking. Wouldn't that be something, that if it was something else, that if for some reason the leak was coming from somewhere else? But I don't think it is, because we've had the sinks on, we've had the toilet on, we have not turned the shower on yet, because we've been taking bathtub, we've been taking tub, what do you want to call it? We're just taking baths instead of running the shower. And so I know it's not the shower. Look, it's not dripping now. And so I know it's not a line that is a broken, you know, water line without turning a valve on or something like that. If you turn a valve on, you know, it's not something that's causing a leak all the way over to there. That's why I kept thinking it's the drain from the tub. Well, I don't know that 100%. Maybe it's a you know, when we turn on the jets, and maybe it's squirting out from one of the jets. Who knows? But see, usually the jets, well, I guess that's water that's shooting through there, not just air, right? Yeah, wouldn't that be something if it was one of the jets and it was something that I could fix up above with a plumber or some of that Flexi Seal tape or something like that. So see, there's a little bit more inspecting I need to do, and I'm glad I'm talking it through on the video, because before I cut any sheetrock, I want to go through all the variables and all the possibilities of finding that leak before cutting the ceiling out. You know, if you've been watching my videos, every once in a while I say there's always two ways to skin a cat, right? Well, look at that. I was able to cut that, and there's some mounting screws up in there, and I couldn't get to them, and so this was flopped down here, and it had some little wing deals here. Once I bent them, they just snapped off because it's pop metal. And then I thought, okay, I can just bend this up, and when I get done, I'm gonna have to bend this back, and I may have to put some little, I've got some little sheet metal tabs, you know, just some flashing. I can take from here to there and screw it down, you know, on both sides, or just take that, drill a hole from that into that, you know, from this flange over to there, and put a screw in there. And then I'm really gonna have to bend on that. But see, I had to do that to get this up out of the way, like that. That's my inspection hole, and I'm glad. I'm glad I did that, because I think I've got it figured out. And it was kind of throwing me for a second here. I got my light on. You see that pipe right there that's got the loop in it? That goes up, and I thought that was to the tub. Well, it's not. That's to the shower. And it was kind of throwing me, because the shower, when it comes down, it should have a P-trap on there, and that almost looks like a P-trap, and they swiveled it down. I don't think that's per code. There's no trap right there to catch the water, you know, to keep the sewer from going up through the shower drain. Now maybe there's a trap further off to the right and I can't see it because this is in the way. But usually they'll put the trap right directly underneath the drain. And so see, there's not enough room to crawl around in there, and the tub is beyond that little wall. And I thought, oh shoot, what am I gonna have to do? Am I gonna have to cut the ceilings in the kitchen? But I don't think I have to do that. I think I've got it figured out. Worst case scenario, I could have gotten up in this area if I had to gain access to that, because even though it's only a foot clearance, you got, and let me get the light out again on my phone. So you have a foot clearance from this ceiling on up to the bottom of the floor joist, and then from there up to the next is another foot, and so you'd have to shimmy in between those, and then that gives you the illusion that you've got more height there. You see what I'm saying? I got a foot and a half, close to 2 feet almost there. That's what was kind of throwing me, and I didn't see any water up in there, and I shouldn't, because this is the 8-foot ceiling, and it was dripping up at the 9-foot ceiling. This is the 9-foot ceiling, and it was dripping from over there. And you know, I thought I was almost ready to cut a hole up in the garage, crawl through there, and I thought, wait a minute, I can get that out of there. And that was just that's just the housing for the ceiling fan, for the exhaust fan. And I had to cut, see that little piece right there? I cut that, see? I cut that off from this. Once I flop that back, I can remount this, and then I can screw that other piece from here, and it zips around. That was for that housing thing. In fact, I don't really need that up there. I mean, I could leave that off too, but I'm gonna take this and drill it and put a screw in it. In fact, that'll go up against that 2x4. This thing, you know, when they frame these, they only put it against the side. Usually they should put a block over on this side. Well, they would have had to put a block from this ceiling joist over to the next ceiling joist, from this ceiling joist over to the next ceiling joist, and then a small little block in between there to raise this side up and to screw this into that other block. Well, they didn't do that. So what I'm going to do when I get all done with this, see how this is lower than the ceiling? I'm gonna raise it up. This is 1/2-inch sheetrock, and I can drill a hole up at a 1/2 inch, ram a screw in there, and the screw will be above the sheetrock. Do you follow me? And that's going to be my shim. That'll keep this lifted up. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, you like that, don't you? Okay, so I'll be able to fix all that. I'm glad I did that. Let me show you my hypothesis here. And I was getting all bummed, thinking I was going to have to cut the ceiling out. And I thought, nothing doing. What else could it be? Now, you remember, Mommy was telling me that when I was draining the tub, the water was coming out. So in my mind, the drain was about in line with this line, okay? And I was thinking, okay, what else could it be? Well, later on, I told you, I said, you should run your whole tub, turn the jets on, do all that kind of stuff, shine a flashlight in there, and see if it's dripping anywhere else. And it was really throwing me for a loop, because everything, when I shine the light in here, this all seemed kind of dry, okay? And you see, here's the shower, here's the shower drain, and that threw me too, because there's no trap on it right there. Now there's a trap, and I looked down through here, and the drain doesn't have a trap directly underneath it. It's a 90, and it comes back over to this pipe, which is the top overflow drain, and then there's another pipe that goes underneath that. See, there's two double pipes under there. It's that low one. There's a trap that goes off of this pipe going down, and there's a P-trap below that top. See, that top one is the drain for the tub, and that bottom one was kind of throwing me. Well, the trap is connected on this, going down lower, and then it goes across, and then it dumps out, probably dumps out on that back wall, ties into the toilet down below and all that kind of stuff. And I was looking, and I knew that the motor's over here, right? I knew the motor was there, and I started looking some more. And look what I've seen down there. See how black it is right there? And then if I could get the light down further, but I can't get the video camera down in there. Right down in there, it's really black. Right down in there. So what I think is happening, and I'm pretty sure of this, I'm kind of anxious. When Mommy gets home, we're gonna test it all out. I'm thinking when you turn the jets on and when the motor goes on, one of those fittings, you see there's a fitting right there for the motor down at the bottom and that top one. So you have to undo those, then you have to undo these other ones to get it all out of here. In order to replace that motor, they would have to cut this off. They would have to cut this off to get these out, because I don't see any way to shimmy that out through there. See how tight of a space there is in there? And so they would probably have to do that to take that out. We may not have to take that out. It could be dripping just from one of these nuts. Maybe the nut is loose. Maybe it needs to be tightened. Maybe the nut needs to, maybe we need to loosen the whole thing off, put some Teflon tape on there, retighten up those fittings. And it could be something as simple as that. But I think it's been dripping from there, running straight out from this point, boom, straight underneath this tile floor on the subfloor, boom, all the way across, and then it finds a hole through the subfloor and it goes down through the ceiling across there. And so when I was measuring back, that's the funny thing too. I was measuring back straight across from there, and to get that point, I just ran my tape measure from there to here, and that was 6 feet. And then I went across, and I took my tape measure from here, had a point at 6 feet, then measured from here out to the end of this wall, and that was 11 feet, and then measured from the end of this wall back to where it was coming out. Guess what it was? 11 feet. I thought that was where the tub, see, I was trying to measure all this stuff, and it's really hard because this wall is not the exterior wall where the garage is. It cantilevers over, and I was trying to take into consideration all that when I was measuring everything back to get to that point, and then coming back inside for the tub. I kept thinking it was where the drain was, not where the motor was. And so where that motor is, it's right about where the corner is where the water was dripping out. So straight across with all that black stuff and where that motor is, that's got to be it. It's got to be dripping from that, which, you know what that means? That means either we have to replace the motor, or like I said, one of those fittings, maybe it just needs to be tightened up. Maybe it just needs some Teflon tape. Might be as simple as that. Here I was thinking we're going to have to rip this apart. The drain might have been rusty or something, but because I can look at all that, it looks to be okay. And I shouldn't have to rip up any ceilings downstairs. Isn't that amazing? So we're going to check out that hypothesis later, and I'll let you know what we find out. Worst case scenario, we've got to replace that motor. Best case scenario, it's one of those threads needs to be tightened up or put some Teflon tape on there. We don't have to cut any sheetrock out here. We don't have to cut any sheetrock out here. We don't have to cut any sheetrock out of this ceiling here. And I only knew that because I was able to take the exhaust fan apart, cut that, flap it up here,
put my ingenuity to the works and figure out how am I going to get the access in there when I couldn't see any screws or anything like that. I was almost ready to give up, and I thought, I'm not giving up. Forget that. Phooey on that. Video Joe, he should be able to figure this out. Come on, it's not rocket science. So once I got that up, I was able to check that out. So I don't have to cut, I shouldn't have to cut any sheetrock out here, patch that, and then I shouldn't have to come out here, cut a hole in there, patch that, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, those are all options. But you know, if you're a bull at a china shop, you start cutting away. Oh, I'll figure it out. I can do it. You cut a hole here, then you cut a hole here, and find out the ceiling's over here for the tub. And you just are for sure certain that it's the tub drain. And you cut a hole here, and you find out, son of a gun, it's none of that. It's the motor area, and I could have fixed that without cutting any of these ceilings out and paying the money to patch the ceilings and prime the ceilings and paint the ceilings and spray texture the ceilings and mask all this stuff off. And you know, you could be into thousands of dollars, and you're going to see a patch, and you're going to see a patch. And all this, all because you didn't take into consideration that it could have been that motor, you know, or run the bathtub. And see, I think it was just a coincidence that I was draining the bathtub at the time Momi decided to walk downstairs at night, and she put her foot on one of those steps and it was all wet. She saw it was dripping, and that's when I was getting out of the tub and I was draining it. So that's why I thought it was coming from that. But no, it's just a coincidence, because every time we took a bath, we would turn that on and have the jets on. So, you know, it's not taking a whole lot of water. Drip, 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 drip. That's about the extent of the dripping. So that's what threw me. It was just a coincidence that it finally found a way out right over there, and just happened to be, you know, 4 or 5 minutes after I turned that off while I was draining the tub. And I'll bet money that that's what the culprit is. Okay, stay tuned. I'm not going to show it on this video. I'll show it on another video or something, and I'll let you know how we got it fixed and what it was. And I'm sure it's going to be right there.